Hey, hey everyone. Today I'm going to be creating a tutorial on detailing out really worn and derelict armor. This is a personal project I'm working on at the moment of this orc character, and yeah, I was just doing some pieces of the armor. As you can see, I've done the helmet, done this back plate, and these two breastplates here, and yeah, I'm about to start on the shoulder piece, and I just thought I'd run through with you guys my process just to share like a few techniques and things which I've been using, which I think will come in, which would be useful for other people. So yeah, I'll just start by separating this out, the piece that we're going to be working on. Frame it by hitting the F key. So this piece I basically roughed out in zBrush, and then I took it into Maya to retopologize it and get some clean edges and things like that. And but then what happens then is you get all these supporting edge loops running along the edges, and so then I use zBrush's Z-remesher to remesh it so that we have, as you can see here now, more evenly sized polygons for the sculpting, because we're mainly going to be chipping up the edges and things like that, and we don't really want those extra supporting edge loops running along those edges, because you'll find the mesh gets really crunchy really quickly, and you can't push it as far as you normally might like to. So alright, so yeah, let's get started. I'll go to the highest subdiv level, which at the moment is 2 mil. So yeah, that should be good to work with. These are separate subtools at the moment, so I'll probably mask one while I work on the other, and vice versa, just so we're not pushing the meshes into each other or doing anything funky like that. So what I'll do to start with is I'll go get a specific brush that I want to use, which in this case is going to end up being the trim. Actually, maybe I won't use this one yet, but I'll get it ready anyway. I just apply a square alpha to this trim smooth border brush, which you just saw me get out of the light box. But to start with, we're going to use the trim dynamic. So that's trim adaptive, trim dynamic, just here. So, and all I'm going to do with this guy is just go over the surface and just start like rapidly tapping it all over the surface, because we don't want this armor to look machined. We want it to look like it's just been kind of panel beaten into shape by the orcs, obviously. So yeah, I just go around and create some really subtle planar changes all across the surface. And like I kind of do this with a lot of hard surface things that I work on. So I'll just masked out that back piece. Yeah, it just seems to give like a really nice look to it, like a really nice hard feel. Like you can already see there, it's getting all that pitting, and it makes it look like it's been beaten into shape. So that's exactly what I'm looking for. So go around to this side, and this is just very quick, and just don't think about it too much, just go through and tap around. That's basically all we're trying to do here. Now this dent looks like a bit of an accident, so I'm just going to fill that in, smooth it out, and then yeah. But even though that's an accident, it doesn't matter. It's going to add some character to this piece of armor. Because yeah, I don't want it to be symmetrical, and well, even though it is quite symmetrical, I don't want it to be too symmetrical, because yeah, it's been made by the orcs, and the orcs, I reckon, don't really give a shit about yeah, what they're like, how clean and nicely detailed their armor is. So yeah, I'll just tap around. So yeah, now you can see we've got all that. I'm not going to worry about the underside because I'm not going to see that. And now I'll do this piece. This piece is a bit flat, so you won't get as much of a effect on it, but it'll be subtle. So just tap around. Ooh, too much. We'll bend up the edges later on. I don't really want to be affecting them too much at this point, really. So, yep. Now this side. Yeah. So yeah, it doesn't look like it's doing much, but when you catch this at an angle, it should. Like, you can see there's a little bit of break up there, and sometimes when it comes down to it, it's all in like the subtleties of how you detail something. So might even turn on transparency. Oh no, that's not going to work because it's the same subtool. Alright, so alright, we got something which is workable for now. I'll do this side as well, just because you might end up seeing this side at some point. I hate it when it does that. Maybe if I turn off backface masking, it'll stop doing that. Yeah, it does. Oh, maybe not. Alright, make my brush smaller just so I don't end up... Oh, yep, still hitting it. So what that's doing is it's picking up this piece underneath the geometry and it's trying to push the geo onto that, so maybe I'll just stay away from that area down the bottom, because you're not really going to see that part anyway. Alright, this one can just be pretty quick. Alright, and done. Okay, so next step is going to be adding a noise. I didn't used to really use noises that often, but now like I've started realizing the power of it. And so yeah, if you layer a couple of noises together, you can get some really effective surface details. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to surface, noise, and I used to always just use this default noise just because I'd never actually like sat down and gone through all the other settings. But like, yeah, you've obviously got this noise here, which is the default, and it's very sensitive. You got to be at a very low level to get, like, this is 0.0002, but the other ones, they work pretty high. So I'll crank these up just so we can see them in the noise plug. So as you can see, it's already loaded in the checkerboard. You can see what that's doing. But as a first pass, I think we're going to want the what was I using? Perlin noise is pretty good. Turbulence isn't bad. I think I was using dense is, yeah, I'm pretty sure I run a big dense. So yeah, this is it. I run two layers of dense at different at varying scales and intensities. So first of all, I crank up the graph like this, like a subtle. It's not too subtle, but like a, yeah, just like a waveform, and then we play around with the scale. And for this one, I want it to be a pretty big scale. Actually, for this one, let's just leave this straight for the first pass, but on the second pass, we'll be adjusting that. Get the strength where we want it. We don't want it too intense, and if you have it too intense, you end up like kind of destroying your model a bit. So yeah, just go easy on the intensity. Like, once again, we just want some subtle surface details. We don't want to like blow this thing apart or anything. So yeah, okay, might make it a bit smaller so we get more variety. Yeah, it's looking alright. Maybe a bit bigger. No, too small. There we go. Alright, let's try this. Just play around with this a bit, see what we can get. No, we'll just leave that. Now we'll hit OK. Yeah, and you can see we get all these subtle details all over the surface. So then we'll say apply to mesh. Yeah, you can see it got inflated a bit there. There's a number of things you can do to get around that, but I'm not too worried about that at this stage. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave it as is. I'm pretty happy with that level of detail. Then I'll run it again, but this time I'm going to put in the wave in the graph, just a slight wave. So what this does is it just focuses on the dents and doesn't really get all this other detail outside of the hardest points. And then we're going to crank the scale so it's like all little dots all over the surface. And crank up the... Ooh, not too high. I want to crank up the strength as well. So let's get it to a place where we're happy with it scale wise, and then we'll... Yeah, so there you can see what sort of damage it's doing, and then drag it all the way back until you have it in an area that you're happy with. And so yeah, now this is applying even more complexity to our original map. Yeah, and that looks pretty good, so we'll apply that to a mesh. Another good one to use in the beginning might actually be... I didn't try it on this one, but yeah, just using the straight up purlin noise. This can get you some really nice effects. So like if you crank it real low, and then that might give you like some really sort of rusted look, like just breaks it up like that. Yeah, it actually looks really cool, so I'll add that one as well. So you can see just layering up some noises can get you some really nice effective, like it gets you 80% of the way there basically for like, yeah, the sort of level of detail that I'm looking for. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Then we'll go in and we'll get the trim smooth border brush. Now the reason why I didn't detail everything and then apply the noise at the end is because like when you saw it puffing out like that along these edges, what it can do is it can kind of destroy all the detail that you'll be putting in with this brush. And so yeah, you want to do it before you do this detailing. It's okay to do it when you're like tapping over the surface, which we'll probably do again at the end just as a final pass, but yeah. You could even do it first, I guess, but yeah, just don't do it last, because yeah, you'll kind of ruin it. So now what we'll start doing is we'll start going around the edges and just sharpening this up, just because we want it to look like just beaten, broken off bits of metal. And like already you can see that edge, like look at that and compared to that. So yeah, it kind of gives you the sort of look and feel that you're going to be wanting in your armor, in your derelict sort of busted up armor. So yeah, just run along the edges down here, just really break it up. And I kind of use a tapping technique with this brush as well. Like I rather than just dragging it, I tap it around, because what it's doing is it's sampling the surface and then pushing it back. So if it's sampling every time I'm like tapping the pen, it gives it more of a like more planar breakup on the surface, like that. So yeah, straight away you can see how much more like deadly and dangerous this piece of armor looks in comparison to this side. So yeah, just keep going through, and might break out a bit here. And don't be afraid to like start going out into the middle as well, and like just kind of breaking it off in there as well. So that looks like maybe something hit it and left this kind of dent in the side. So yeah, that looks pretty cool. Alright, let's go along here. Do some more breaking and bending of the metal. Yeah, it's looking good. Cool. Alright. Flatten this off a bit. make it look like it's like hit something and it's kind of like being either broken off or dented in or something like that, just to make it look different to this one. This one's really sharp and angular, so yeah, by making this side look different, we'll get that sort of asymmetry that we're kind of looking for. Yeah, so that one's a bit sharper than this one. This one's been blunted off. Yeah, but you kind of get the idea, just going through and adding all this sort of break up. Make sure you don't leave like any square imprints, because our alpha is a square, but yeah, it'll just take away from it if you leave any really defined squares which have been dropped on the surface. Might do another big chip in here. Another dent sort of thing. Bits like just cracked off and broken off. That looks pretty cool. Kind of corroded in. And when I do textures, hopefully I get around to texturing this, and this area will be like a really like just rusted sort of area, so just corroded and everything. So it should look pretty cool. So yeah, this is the sort of like squares which I was talking about just before. So just go in with a smaller size and just break up the edges of that a bit, just to get rid of the squareness of it. And then we'll keep going around. Yeah, just start breaking this up. Blow this away. Yeah, you get some really cool sort of breakup using this brush. That's what I love about it. It's the exact same brush that I use for doing rocks and stuff, if you've watched my other video tutorials. And so you can see like the techniques that I use this brush to create those types of forms. But yeah, it's starting to really get there now. We're really getting some sweet details. I'm really liking this actually. Okay, keep breaking it away. And now like, yeah, I'm just running it along these areas just to break it out, and then I'll come back and just lay down a second level of detail. And this is all detailing. So yeah, my process for this personal project was just blocking out all of the different subtools and pieces of armor, and like not worrying about the details, and just doing all the detailing at the same time, so I can just run through piece by piece and just add whatever details that I want to the surface, just to take it to that next level. Oop, don't want that. Yeah, I don't really like this, so we'll really just chop into that. Yeah, just break that in. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. Alright. Oop, don't like that. Yeah, it doesn't do too well around corners like this. It's more better suited for like flat or like slightly curved surfaces, but yeah, it gives it some kind of cool effect. And these are like the smallest details. Like I kind of second guess myself as to like whether or not I'm going into too much detail with this, but I want to get a pretty high quality render at the end. So like once I've fully finished this whole character, so I want to make sure that everything holds up and is at a specific level of detail, so that it looks really nice once it's rendered, when the final render's done. So alright, let's start breaking up this edge. Just random chips and breaks and stuff like that. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, cool. Might do a bit more damage to this side as well. Just really break it up. It's just been hit so many times, and like maybe even when like the orc's in his barracks, he just doesn't really give a shit about his armor. He just wants to take it off and just throw it on the ground or whatever, or maybe he just sleeps in it. Who knows? But yeah. So it's definitely going to be heavily dented, heavily damaged. We're almost there though. Almost done all the sides, so that's good. It is a pretty enjoyable part of the process though, I must say. Saving, great. Alright, cool. Not done yet, but almost there. Sweet. Okay, great. So yeah, now we've hacked up all the edges. We are going to try and adjust the silhouette as well, but we'll do that soon. Now I'm just going to roughly just go over the surface and just do some more of this tapping, just to like flatten out some of the noise detail, just because we don't want it to look the same all over the surface. We want it to look like it's been hit and just damaged and just worn down, like polished down in some areas just from rubbing against stuff and things like that. So yeah, we don't want this rough sort of detailing across the entire thing, because that it just looks a bit boring. But yeah, by really just getting in there and flattening some areas out, just getting some planar changes in there, and just some areas where it's just been burrowed out. And also these are like the high points on these edges, so really just smashing these would be good as well, because if this is going to be thrown on the ground or be hit by something, it's really going to cop right on this high point. So really get in there and damage that out as well, just to show where it's been hit multiple times. Because this guy's been a battle a few times, or even fighting other orcs. Who knows? This is kind of like my the reason I did this personal project was to just like kind of show my own interpretation of what an orc should look like how I believe in my head they should look like. And so yeah, I just thought it'd be a fun little project, just because there's so many different types. Like you got mine's kind of heavily inspired more of like Lord of the Rings than the like over the top sort of exaggerated size of the armor in something like World of Warcraft or just like the Warcraft franchise. So, but I've kind of added like kind of a bit of both into the one, like with the big plated belt and things like that. So yeah. Alright, cool. Yeah, so now you can see we're really getting some nice dents and wear into this. So I might put another kind of big dent here. Yeah, there we go. That looks cool. Alright. So yeah, not touching the underside because we don't care about that. But yeah, maybe I'll like try and put a chip or something in here. Ooh, don't want to crush up the geometry too much, because otherwise it's going to end up being a bit gnarly and difficult to run into production. So, not that this is going into production, but I'm used to working in a production pipeline, so I want my stuff to be as clean as it is when I'm doing that. I know a lot of artists are quite like messy, and they just want to do it for the concept, and they get it out really quick, like way faster than like what I'm doing here. But yeah, just for these purposes, I just want to make sure it's nice and clean. So alright, next step, I'm gonna add some like scratches and stuff like that to the surface. So I gotta load up a brush. So I'm gonna load in Orb Cracks. You can get this off the internet somewhere, that's how I got it. But yeah, Orb Cracks is what it's called. Take it down to a pretty small size, so we can get these really like kind of deep sort of slashes and cuts along the surface. So remember, these are the high points, so these are the parts which are gonna like cop the most amount of damage. So I kind of just like run over it, and then maybe go a bit bigger, and then do like a big one going off the side. Oop. Like that. Maybe like some little details there. And then these would cop like a lot of hits as well, so scratching up the tips on this might be a good idea. And like, yeah, maybe some more scratches and stuff. Just go pretty crazy with this. Like not too over the top, because you don't want to over detail it. And like in areas where I've got like a bit like punched in like this, I like sort of put in some scratches there as well. Another corner bit, so it's gonna cop a bit of damage. We don't want any swirls and things like that. Quite harsh and sharp sort of damage details is what we want. And then just like, yeah, some smaller scratches and things all over the surface. Especially in these damaged areas, it just adds another level of detail in them. But yeah, they're not as noticeable as the big ones, so it's too squiggly. So is that one. Alright, cool. So yeah, it's pretty scratched up. I like that. Maybe a few more. Yeah, okay. Alright. So, next step would be adding some more breakup to the silhouette. So on the lowest subdiv level, like you can see I added that one in there. But yeah, we want to add a bit more than that. So let's go to the snake hook. And what we're going to do is we're going to like push up and kind of like stretch the geometry to add some like big dents and smaller dents around the edges, because yeah, I want this armor to look pretty damn beaten up. So yeah, you can see it's really taken a transformation from the original, like really kind of just really machined sort of look that we started with, and now we're getting this really bent and misshapen sort of looking piece of armor, which is exactly what I want. It's exactly what I'm looking for. So now we'll go back up the subdivs, and then what we're going to do is we're going to come in here with the trim smooth border brush again, and we're just going to define where these big silhouette change cracks are, just so we can like take it out like that. So it's not as, see how smooth that is? Yeah, we want to just reinforce that this has been like really busted out, just really broken. Okay, cool. Now this top surface. I don't really like how this is kind of popping up, so I'm going to pull it in. And then go back to the brush. And see how this is just sharpening up what I did before, and you get a really nice just straight crack in there. Cool. Alright, now we're getting some serious damage. This one I think I'm okay with just being a bend. What about this one? Because we don't want to make them all like sharp, similar sort of breaks. We want to have some variety in there with our damage. Otherwise it all just looks the same. And variety and randomness is what makes stuff look real. So yeah, it just helps just to have variety. Don't do the same thing over and over and over again. Now this side. Some more damage. Ooh, we're going to be crunchy in there, so I'll smooth that and then reapply it. Damage this part too. Okay, cool. Yeah, nice. I might even, now that I got the damage in there, I can probably just, with the move brush, just kind of move this around. Just get it a bit tighter, how I want it. Alright, great. So, yeah, we got our damage in there now. So one last thing. We got to go back to a lower subdiv level. Maybe not the lowest, but like a couple up. And then what we're going to do is, in areas like this, I'm going to use a move brush. And like, so this, I can imagine something big just hit it, like with a sharp end, like a pickaxe or something. I don't know, whatever. But when it hits, it's not just going to chip it, but it's going to actually bend the metal as well. So what I can do here is I can kind of push it in. So what I'm doing is I'm using the move brush and I'm holding down Alt and I'm just pushing in on the surface to just like make that end up dipping in like that. So it looks like there's been an even bigger impact on the surface. And then I'll also go around and kind of do it randomly, kind of subtly all over it, just to show like areas where something might have hit it, but it wasn't enough to chip it, but it was enough to just bend the metal itself. So yeah, I'll just go around and do a few of these, and I'm just doing a few all in the same area, just so we don't get that perfect sort of circle look to it. We want to kind of break it up at least a little bit, just so it doesn't look like a circle. And now when we go up the subdiv levels, yeah, you can see it's taking it to the next level again with dints and stuff like that. And one more thing that you can do, just to even push it further, is take it to the lower subdiv and then just with a big move brush just start pushing this, or even with like the move elastic. Maybe not the move elastic, it's probably a bit too intense, but yeah, just push a few things around a bit more just to really define that bent, sort of broken look that we're going for. Yeah, and that'll kind of want to do it around the edges as well, like just to show. Yeah, that should give it some nice breakup, and then maybe this edge as well, just like going out and then in and then out. Yeah, just so it's all warped and bent. So now, yeah, it looks like a seriously damaged piece of armor, and once I get some really nice texturing on this and some like rust and just dirt and stuff like that, this should end up looking quite cool. I really don't like how soft this is, so I'm going to go back to the trim smooth brush. I'm just going to like beat around the edges subtly just to break up the softness of it. And kind of, it's also breaking up these scratches as well, which is quite nice. Yeah, and that's it. So now when I bring back the rest of the Orc's body, give it a sec, it's like 64 subtools. Yeah. Now we can see how well it fits in with everything, rather than, and then if you zoom back to the start of the video, you'll be able to see what it looked like in before I started and where it's at now. So yeah, that's about it. So yeah, and then you can like add on some rivets, and as you can see, like where I've added rivets here, I've also pushed in a dent, so it looks like they've been like smashed in with a hammer or something, something like that. Just very rough and dirty, and then damage and scratches, because like if the armor's rolling around on the ground, it's really gonna catch on these rivets, and so that's why I added them there. I might actually put some on here, like maybe one there or one there, just to like kind of show that there's most likely some sort of housing underneath it, which is helping it stay attached to the body, to the top set of armor. Yeah, so I've got to go through everything else, especially the boots. You can see on the boots like how clean and pristine they look, and that's definitely not what I want. So once I go through it and add all this sort of like break-up detailing to it, you'll really be able to see yeah, all the damage and everything, which should be pretty cool. Yeah, so there you go, look, you can see it there, all the damage that I applied to it. But yeah, so that's about it, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and I hope you learnt something from it, and yeah, until next time.